There's been a delay in jury selection in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The judge postponing the last phase of the process until Monday.
So literally just leaving the federal courthouse. Lots happened today. The big thing is there is still no jury.
Witnesses are disappearing and jurors are backing out as Diddy's trial faces yet another delay. Allegations have surfaced that Diddy is intimidating witnesses and planning to sue his former bodyguard for speaking out against him. Cassie is expected to testify against Diddy this week, and new reports suggest she may require witness protection. Meanwhile, the whereabouts of a third key witness remain unknown, raising serious questions. Where did witness number 3 go, and why are jurors afraid to speak out against Diddy?
Where did witness number 3 disappear, and why are jurors scared of speaking out against Diddy? Let's break it down.
With the selection of a jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case almost complete, prosecutors are preparing for opening arguments on Monday. But they admit there's a snag. One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant. Here's Les Trent.
Prosecutors have just revealed that victim 3 is missing, and emerging reports suggest Diddy may be linked to their alleged disappearance. Diddy has a known history of targeting those who speak out against him. Let's not forget, while behind bars, he repeatedly attempted to contact and intimidate witnesses, raising serious concerns about the lengths he's willing to go to silence opposition.
On the surface, if the prosecutor's claims are true, this seems like pretty much textbook witness tampering, right? I mean, it appears to be an effort to either, in some cases, intimidate witnesses from testifying against him, or there have been other reports of sort of inducing people to make statements in his defense. There was some allegation that in one instance this was a statement that he, in essence, dictated or drafted with a woman who made a statement that was attempting to rebut one of the accusers, I believe, in a civil case against him. I mean, witness tampering is bad. The things that Sean Combs is accused of are terrible. He pleads his innocence. The justice system will presumably work its way through.
It is likely that there is some underlying truth to at least some of the allegations. There might be a lot of underlying truth to a lot of the allegations. There's probably some bandwagoning going on. We spoke to an attorney who's for one of the alleged victims of Diddy a few weeks ago. I believe Amber Nomiki and I did, and they said they had calls, they had information, they had people, hundreds of them, come forward. They're not going to represent all of them. They're which ones have evidence that can be compelling. What are the best cases to bring that? I also saw a story in the New York Post. This is from a week ago, about Diddy stuff that I wanted to read the headline of. Woman claims she saw minors dressed as Harajuku Barbies at Sean Diddy Combs' FreakOFF parties, what he was describing there to Conan so many years ago. Said these were sex-fueled parties with what she initially thought were little people dressed as Japanese Barbies. And she said, this is her talking to TMZ, are those midgets? And she actually thinks they were kids dressed up in sexy.
Oh, gross.
So again, that's just from someone who provided this information to TMZ for a documentary. Yeah. But pretty disgusting.
It is. No, that's.
Call records from the Metropolitan Detention Center, where Diddy is currently being held, reveal a disturbing pattern. Diddy allegedly tried to pay off witnesses and, in one shocking instance, called a victim over 200 times in an attempt to intimidate and silence them. He reportedly used a sneaky tactic, calling family members first, then having them add victims or witnesses to the call, making it harder to trace who he was really speaking to. Meanwhile, Diddy's former body...
The parties I seen, I knew that they were spiking drinks. My girl was at the New Year's party, right? I'm at the front door. I got to make sure everybody got their passes and everything like that. So then my girl and her girlfriend is in the party. So they get bottles of champagne. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking for them. After everybody comes, they close the door. So I'm going knocking in doors, looking at people. I'm looking for my...
Received a direct message from Diddy warning him to stop talking and saying, enough is enough.
My kid's mother now. What's going on? And I'm getting hysterical. So I decided to go to the car, and I looked in the car. She was in the car asleep. She said, Gene, we started drinking the champagne, and I didn't feel good. And me and Debbie came here and went to sleep.
I'm Gene Deal, and I witnessed firsthand how Diddy carried out his abuse. But it wasn't until he tried to drug his own girlfriend that I truly realized Diddy had gone too far. I tried to step in, to stop him, but he didn't care. He was already too deep into his darkness.
And my whole thing about it is that Puff wasn't right what he did to people around us, man. He wasn't right what he did to people around us. Him being hard-headed, not listening, and not telling the truth and constantly lying cost a lot of people their lives, man. It cost a lot of people their lives. I want him to understand. When I told him, if we don't do something to these doors, people gonna die tonight. And forget, and I wanna say F what other people say. Everybody know I told him that. Our whole crew know I told him that. From Slick to Nord, Bunny, Big Boy, Eddie, all the people that was with us that night. Know I told him that. 9 people in the...
There were a couple parties I went to where I knew drinks were being spiked. One New Year's Eve, my girl was at a party while I was working the front door, checking passes and making sure everything was in order. She and her friend were inside, drinking champagne. After the guests arrived and the doors were closed, I started looking for her. I was knocking on doors, checking everywhere, getting frantic. I couldn't find her. Eventually, I went out to the car, and there she was, asleep. When she woke up, she told me, Gene, we started drinking the champagne, and I didn't feel right. So Debbie and I came out here and went to sleep. That moment shook me. The truth is, Puff wasn't right for what he did to people around us. He didn't listen. He lied constantly, and he acted like nothing would catch up with him. That attitude cost people their lives. I remember telling him, if we don't do something about those doors, people are going to die tonight. And I stand on...
And I know you ain't signed it. I know you ain't signed an NDA, clearly. But did he make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to.
Care what anyone else says. Everyone in our crew knows I said it. Slick, Nord, Bunny, Big Boy, Eddie, all of them. They know 0.9 people ended up losing their lives.
Being asked about their own connections to or impressions of an array of celebrities, and with no explanation why, at least not yet. The parlor games have begun, my friends. Everybody is trying to connect the dots between the shiny, famous names and the beleaguered rap star Diddy and the charges. Just today, the name Robert Downey Jr. came up in court. When a prospective juror said that he knew a Robert Downey in high school, it was kind of funny. But Robert Downey, the actor, and Diddy apparently do know each other and have been seen together in public. But Robert Downey Jr. reportedly never attended Diddy's parties. So if he does figure into this trial somehow, it's going to be a lot of news to a lot of us. Mike Myers, another favorite Canadian, favorite actor, favorite comedian. He is on the jury question list as well. And that too is a tongue-wagging mystery.
Now, Diddy's growing fear is becoming clear. He knows prison is a real possibility. Jury selection for his high-profile sex trafficking trial is nearly complete. And with no way out, Diddy appears to be turning to intimidation and violence. But this case isn't just about him. Bigger names are rumored to be involved. And if Diddy falls, Others might fall with him to iron a shocking twist. Jurors were shown a list of over 100 names, many of whom weren't even mentioned in the lawsuit. Among them were major celebrities like Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, and Mike Myers. According to NBC News, these names were included as individuals or entities that might come up during the trial. While none of these celebrities are implicated, the court wanted to ensure jurors didn't have personal connections that could affect their impartiality. Attorneys gave no explanation for why these specific names were listed, which raises major questions about what prosecutors might be planning to reveal later in the trial. Also included on the list were women who have taken legal action against Diddy, like Cassie Ventura, whose sexual abuse lawsuit was swiftly settled in November 2023, and Dan ITK and Alan Dawn Richard, who filed a separate suit in September. Diddy has denied all allegations.
Big breaking news tonight. For the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
This was a shock to many in the religious community. Bishop T.D. Jakes has been a spiritual advisor to presidents and a religious voice to thousands. Now he says it's time to pass the baton to a new generation.
This is a beautiful moment for me.
From the pulpit Sunday, Bishop T.D. Jakes announced that he was stepping down from leadership at the Potter's House, the Dallas megachurch he founded in 1996 and has led ever since.
I cannot afford, especially after November, to risk something happening to me and you be sheep without a shepherd.
This is video from the service Jakes is referencing in November. It wasn't until months after his medical incident that he confirmed to the public he had a heart attack. Now, 5 months later, he told his congregation he had been preparing his daughter, Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, and his son-in-law, Pastor Torrey Roberts, to take the lead.
While some of Diddy's celebrity associates are being name-dropped, others are quietly retreating from the spotlight, likely because they know just how damaging the fallout could be. Sources claim Diddy was offered a plea deal in exchange for information about the people he worked with. And now, those alleged accomplices are starting to panic point. One of the most notable moves came from Dallas Bishop T.D. Jakes, who recently stepped down as a lead pastor of the Potter's House megachurch. His resignation came just days after reports surfaced that Diddy had been given a plea deal to expose others involved. The timing has raised eyebrows and serious questions about who else may be implicated as this case unfolds.
So literally just leaving the federal courthouse, lots happened today. The big thing is there is still no jury. They're so concerned about jurors backing out over the weekend once they find out that they're actually on the jury, that they're going to bring 43 of them back on Monday morning. They're going to strike them and then go right into opening statements. Part of that is because they received an email overnight that one juror backed out. She was like, this is just too much. I can't do it. Too much pressure. They had to strike another juror who did not give accurate information. He's engaged in a lawsuit with the city of New York and forgot to mention that. I have been in court every day this week. I've been in court every day since this whole case started, and I will be here every day in the courtroom all next week.
There's been a delay in jury selection in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The judge postponing the last phase of the process until Monday. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
This morning, Sean Combs is preparing to stand trial on sex crimes charges that could send him to prison for decades. The 12 people who will decide whether he's guilty are expected to be seated first thing Monday after lawyers make cuts from a pool of more than 40 prospective jurors. The judge initially wanted to do that on Friday, but changed his mind out of fear that jurors, if they had the weekend to think about it, would get cold feet. Once the jury is sworn, attorneys will deliver opening statements and the first witnesses will testify. Among them, Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, one of the women federal prosecutors say was coerced into drugged-up sex marathons known as FreakOFFs.
This morning, Sean Diddy Combs is preparing to stand trial on serious sex crime charges that could land him behind bars for decades. The 12 jurors who will decide his fate are expected to be seated first thing Monday, after attorneys finalize selections from a pool of over 40 potential jurors. Originally, the judge planned to seat the jury on Friday but abruptly changed course, concerned that giving jurors a weekend to reflect might cause some to back out. Once the jury is sworn in, both sides will deliver their opening statements, and then the first witnesses will take the stand. Among them is Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, one of the women federal prosecutors say was coerced into drug-fueled sex marathons allegedly referred to as FreakOFFs. Disturbing details have also emerged from leaked phone calls out of the Metropolitan Detention Center, where Diddy is being held. The calls reportedly show Diddy attempting to buy the silence of his accusers, and is not the only one. When Jay-Z was named in a related lawsuit, a victim was allegedly offered $10,000 to withdraw her case, and she did. The timing of these payouts, combined with sudden withdrawals and disappearing witnesses, raises chilling questions. Why are so many victims and jurors backing out just days before the trial? What threats or pressure are being applied behind the scenes?
Having $75 million at his disposal, isn't that by nature the exact thing that they're worried about? If you have this much money, that you could make this thing, you could probably make people disappear if you really opted to.
See, this is the thing. That'll just make more trouble. Why would he make more trouble now? He done already bought off and paid off everybody he possibly could. Have you looked at the indictment? Like, he called some witnesses up to 54 times.
Yeah, 200 and how many angels? 200 something people. Yeah. He tried to reach out to.
Like, what are you running, a telethon or a telemarketing agency? Telemarketers don't make that many calls in one day. Or sometimes not even in a week, all depending on you was on that. You down for Diddy?
What happens with exposures? You make yourself vulnerable to all kinds of attacks, seen and unseen. What happened to my friend? When he passed away, there was $250,000 on my head and $150,000 on his. But what if I had decided to go back with my head held low and said, Sean, I'm willing to play the game, and then found a way to get inside of him and move him around?
Interestingly, Diddy's new legal move is to try and shift the blame over to the victims. His lawyers have now revealed that they're going to claim that Cassie was the one who was violent in the relationship, and Diddy was only defending himself.
All signs are pointing to one undeniable truth. Diddy is guilty, and now he's scrambling to lie his way out of prison. Even his own legal team is jumping ship. After working with him for more than 2 decades, Diddy's longtime law firm has officially dropped him as a client. Why?
All right, now let's get into what's going on with this Diddy trial, because there are some new things coming out as they're in the courtroom. And one thing that Diddy's defense team is leaning in on is saying that, yes, Diddy was abusive toward his ex Cassie, but they're also saying that she was no angel and allegedly got violent with him as well. It's day 4 of the Diddy trial, and the prosecutor and Diddy's attorney had a very interesting exchange with the judge. It kicked off with Johnson telling the judge that the victim one, who they believe is Cassie, will not be cross-examined about certain medical issues. But that's when Diddy's attorney said the defense is going to take the position there was a mutual violence in their relationship, hitting on both sides, DV, domestic violence. He said, we are absolutely going to admit to domestic violence, but at what point does it become coercive? And that's when the judge clarified, saying, you're arguing that they are just violent. And he said, right, we are saying that it's relevant. They also said they're submitting a letter to the court on the topic, and they're going to offer 2 cell phone videos and the corrected CNN footage of that infamous tape where you saw Diddy beating Cassie up at the Intercontinental Hotel in LA. If you recall, Diddy's team have been saying that tape was doctored. There was more to it. And so I guess they have the full video they are claiming that they're planning to bring up in court. So we'll see what happens.
As legal battles continue to mount for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, his attorneys have pushed back against allegations made by singer Cassie Ventura by claiming she too engaged in violent behavior during their relationship. In newly surfaced legal responses, Diddy's team argues that the narrative of him being the sole aggressor is one-sided, and they intend to present evidence suggesting mutual volatility. The claims come amid growing scrutiny over Diddy's past conduct, including federal investigations and multiple lawsuits.
Unwinnable.as Diddy's sex trafficking trial approaches. His defense team is shrinking fast. Attorney Anthony Rico, one of 6 lawyers on the case, filed a motion to withdraw from representing Diddy. In court documents obtained by NBC News, Rico stated, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards of criminal justice." He didn't go into detail, citing attorney-client privilege, but made it clear that his reasons were serious enough to justify a swift exit, and Rico isn't the only one distancing himself. The prestigious law firm Grubman, Shire, Meisler & Sachs, led by legendary entertainment attorney Alan Grubman, has also dropped Diddy. This is a powerhouse firm representing industry giants like The Weeknd, Madonna, Chris Brown, Paul Simon, Usher, and Bruce Springsteen. Alan Grubman himself is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee and helped found the Hall back in the 80s. That's the level of influence we're talking about. Diddy was reportedly a longtime client and even considered Grubman a friend. But now, according to News Nation,